Welcome to the Be More You podcast.
We're your hosts, Mon
and Stefan.
And this is a space where we want you to be more like you
and less like everyone else.
Enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the final episode of season 1 of Be More You. My name is Stefan. This is Mon. This is the first time I've ever introed a podcast.
You're doing really well.
I know, I'm doing great. So this week on the finale, what's it called again? The answer to the question you've all been asking. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what have you been asking?
Is that really your intro?
Yeah, that's my intro.
Okay, awesome.
So, how's your week been, Mon? Tell me about your week.
It's been crazy. We just finished wrapping up the video, or film I should say, because it's more than a video, that we're launching in January. So that's been pretty full on, as you guys listening have probably seen. We got a really amazing filmographer, thank you, who is from Canberra, who I funnily enough met through a Facebook group, and we just pretty much got him down here. His name's Luke Marriott. And he's been helping us film the whole video, and it's just been chaos because we've been filming from 3 a.m. to 10 p.m.
I actually don't know how they were doing it. I went for a few days.
Far.
Well, I was there on Friday morning,
Yeah.
and then I wasn't there Saturday, was I?
Well, kind of.
Kind of there Saturday. Yeah, it was fucked up. It was like they were sleepwalking.
It was honestly like I'm still trying to recover. I feel jet lag. That's what it feels like. But in saying that, it's just gonna be sick. Like, it's gonna be the coolest thing I've ever done. Yep. And it's like, this is what I've been saying to people. It's been such an important project to me because it's a video that I've wanted to do for like almost a year now. So to not only see it come together and come to life, and also have the people that have supported everything I've done over the last few years in it as well. It's also been like a childhood dream of mine to direct a film, essentially. Yes. That's why it was such a big deal to me, because I was like, not the person who was filming it. It was like, I was the person directing everybody. I was directing. I was literally directing a film. Yeah. So yeah, it was incredible to watch because you talk about, directing and film so much. And I love watching that process because I love storytelling, but in a completely different way. Yeah. So watching you two in your element together was just fucking awesome. Yeah, it was so much fun. Like, he actually said to me that him and I managed to do in a week, and he was the only person filming as well. There was no other, like, besides Eric, our friend Eric, who came along on the Friday to do the behind the scenes. Who I love. Shout out to Eric. Eric, you're amazing. I'm going to cut this little thing out and just send it to you. But aside from, having those kind of behind the scenes shots, it was just Luke and I doing it. And what we did in a week would take a production crew a month. It was pretty, like, the amount of location changes, the amount of different things you guys managed to cover, the amount of people that you were able to bring together that were, like, the mutual support, I think, it was just so, I just watched the whole thing. Like, I was in parts of it, definitely. Yeah. But I just got to sit back and watch, and like also from a distance at time, I was like, oh, I'm going to teach now, or when we came up to pre-production, got all these other things on, I'm just like, fuck, how are they still going? Yeah. How are they doing this? How is the water? I think I drowned like 4 times. Do you know how hard it is to drown when you're alive? It's very hard, especially when you're someone who doesn't like the ocean. But it was fun. It was like... Are you going to do outtakes of the things that you were showing me before? Yeah, there'll be a proper bloopers and behind the scenes, yeah. I'm not graceful. People are always like, how do you look so good when you're like that tired? Wait till you see the behind the scenes footage because, But yeah, so that's pretty much how my week's been. How's your week been? My week's been fucking wild. It's been so good. Yeah. It's been incredible. So I got to be a part of all this. And then... I also got to do pre-production with Sam, who's going to play drums on the album. You haven't mentioned this on the podcast. So, I haven't really spoken about this, but... So, we're talking about what next year actually is. Are we saying that now? I think we can start talking about it, Do we say what it's called? We didn't plan this podcast very well. At all. No, we didn't. I love this. So, do you want to talk about what it's called? We're allowed to not. It's a surprise, guys. I don't know. So... We're going to have to. Okay, so next year... Because this is the question everyone's been asking, right? So, we'll go back to the video first, the film that we were doing. So, that
film is actually an intro into what Stefan and I are going to be doing with Be More You in 2022. And the idea for this kind of came about, 2 months ago?
2 months ago, but you've had it for like a really long time.
So, I've been thinking about this idea for probably a solid 6... Before we started this.
This is what Mon was going to do before Be More You was created.
Yeah, literally. So, I had this idea for a YouTube series, and when I was doing YouTube solo, this was going to be my 2022 regardless. But then Be More You kind of happened, and when we were trying to figure out...
I came along.
Stefan just knocked on the door and was like, yo, what's up? I'm going to just park myself right here.
Let's go.
But yeah, when we started doing all the stuff we were doing, like Be More You was so different 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was.
What it was going to be... I said to you the other day, I watched the very first reel we did, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. You guys had no idea what you were in store
it's
for.
cool because I think, it's just, to me, it's just expanding on what it was always going to expand to. The parts that have dropped off that are no longer going to be there, like the really in-depth. Because we thought it was just going to go down more of the educational route, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're going to cover, which we still will, mindfulness, mindset, and experiences, which all are still... I was saying to somebody the other day how it's changed, right? And I was like, the way that I feel like the natural progression of this change has gone is, if you talk to any artist, any successful person, any business owner, anybody that's doing the thing that they love doing, whether they're consciously aware of it or not, they've got a really good mindset that's applicable to them and them only, even if they don't know what the industry of mindset is.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it an industry because I think there's so many people, obviously, that are in it now. They're going to have some sort of mindfulness practice, even if they don't even know what meditating is. Doesn't matter if they're an old school business owner, they will say some sort of practice that they do every day, and they'll be like, I don't know what mindfulness is, but it'll just be about bringing themselves back to the moment, whatever that looks like for them. And their experience. Well, everybody's got an experience. So I'm like, the natural progression of this is, in my eyes, is we're not going to be educating, or not even educating, exploring the educational route of those things as much because it's going to be more creative.
Yeah.
But within the explanation of the creative side of things, because this is what we're most passionate about, and I honestly believe that everybody's creative, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
But through that expression, or through that... the look into the creative side of things, it's impossible to not talk about mindset, mindfulness, and experience. Like, it's literally impossible because day to day, you can't be completely unaware of yourself and move through this. Like, I don't believe it's possible. Like, I know, and I know that, like, I was reading this book, oh my God, what's it called? By Daniele Bolelli, The Warrior's Path. And he talks about having a really like, you should be allowed to, like, I've always been somebody that tries lots of different things, and I love doing lots of different things, and it's always in my pursuits with other people. It's when I was in bands and things like that, I always got annoyed because I wanted to teach yoga or do this. It's like, well, you should be doing everything to this. I'm like, but what if me giving everything to this looks like me doing a little bit of everything and giving everything to all of it? And his thing was, he's like, if you're having a human experience, why would you, if you have a want or a need to do something, if it's outside of the scope of what you think, quote unquote, think you should be doing to achieve whatever goal it is that you have, why would you strip yourself of that? Because then you're not living your full human experience. I'm about to get lost in a second to where I was going with this, but I'm fucking hoping it'll come all the way back. So, I know where it is. So that's why he says you've got people that are might be incredible with computers. This is just really generalized examples. Really incredible with computers, but they have lots of aches and pains in their bodies because they maybe don't fulfill the needs that they have physically. Same reason you've got the old cliche like meathead gym junkie that can't count or read, or can't count or read, or it isn't very academically like me. So I suppose if you look down past it, but that guy at the gym that's a gym junkie is super fucking mindful with his body.
Yeah.
And he has incredible mindset practices to get up and go to the gym every single day. Like that guy that's really great at computers his pinpoint focus would be absolutely incredible to be able to sit there and focus on those numbers or whatever the hell he is that it's doing. So my point was, because my mind went, oh, but what about the guy that, is maybe super arrogant or maybe super this, but they're really successful. It's like, it doesn't matter. They use mindfulness practices to get there, or they use mindset practices to get there. So, long story short.
This is why we love stuff.
If you're still listening.
If we haven't lost you.
If I haven't lost you yet. Regardless of how you look at it, all of these things are applicable to everybody, whether you know what the language used is or not. And I think one of the things that we bonded on so heavily at the start was making the language around all of these topics digestible for anybody. Because I think one of the biggest problems or parts of misinformation today with so many information is everybody's trying to be an expert. Yeah. And it just doesn't serve everybody. I'm not a fucking expert. Like, that's what we've spoken about. Neither of us are. We're experts at our own experience. So it's like, if we can we always just wanted to break down those things to make it more digestible for people. And although we're going more into the creative route of things now, all of that's still going to live there because we're still going to be talking to people about what they do. And I feel like it was a natural progression that was maybe always going to happen. That went for so much longer than I thought it was going to.
7 minutes, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's all of it. But I think the other part to that is which is what is really cool about being more you. What it was going to be, 6 months ago when we started it. Yeah, it was a bit more educational and stuff, but if I look at the both of us as individuals and where we were 6 months ago, and just the natural progression of how much we've grown and expanded into what we're doing now and what being more you is becoming, there's just so much flexibility to grow and room to move. And that's going to be a constant, which is really good because we haven't pigeonholed ourselves into this is all it can be. We can only talk about educational things in this way. It's like, well, we've changed, so we're going to change the whole dynamic of this thing.
So do you think, just a question, because I was thinking about this the other day, do you think that was just the stepping stone for us to be able to step into what this truly was supposed to be as
Absolutely.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking about the other day.
Well, this is where the whole YouTube series, the idea came for. I still haven't said the name of this thing. You're probably like, what the fuck are these two talking about? Okay, so the YouTube series that we're going to be launching in 2022 is called A Year to Live.
Bum, bum, bum. Ta-da! Sorry, the bum 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 is something negative, isn't it? It's like, hang on, can you do that again?
The YouTube series that we're launching in 2022 is called A Year to Live. So I'm looking for a new host in 2029.
No.
Yeah, so the whole concept came to me before Be More You, because that was kind of what I was going to do for 2022 in going and just seeking opportunities. And I mean, I was already doing things like pushing myself out of my comfort zone and bringing other people on board as well. But when we were talking about everything we were doing, I was like, this fits so perfectly. And I have been looking at this thing the completely wrong way. In my head, I thought I can only do this or that.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation with you because we've both been going through personal turmoils as well.
Lots.
But for me, this was a really big deal because the Year to Live thing was almost like my backup plan if this all fucked up. It was. And I remember saying that to you. I was like, I'm having serious, I called it commitment issues, but just this whole kind of identity crisis where I was like, I'm giving up everything I worked for 2 years again to somebody else.
Yeah.
And A Year to Live was kind of going to be my baby that I was going to grow, and it was going to be the thing that was going to put me on the map, and it was going to be the thing that would make me a legitimate YouTuber and all that. So then coming to you with this idea, I remember sitting there going, if I say this to him, I know he's going to get excited about it. And I know he's going to be like, yes, let's do it. I can't run if I say this to him. The door's closed on everything I was going to do on my own. So that was a really pivotal turning point for me. But then when I was thinking about what could we do? I was like, this is too big a thing to do on your own. I don't want to do it on my own. I actually want to do this with somebody but that somebody has to be someone I trust with my life, because I've been screwed over so many times before, entering into like businesses and stuff like that. So it was a really big deal for me to give this up essentially and be like, all right, let's do this thing together. But then when I wish we recorded me telling you the idea.
So Mon, if you guys don't already know, Mon can love this about her, but can be super fucking intense. Like really intense, and I can just feel it hitting me. You guys think I'm intense? God, see Mon excited, and then watch me sink back into my chair and be like, "Hang on, just give me a second."
It's literally how it went. But yeah, no, when I said it to you, I could see how scared you were, because you were like, oh my God, this is really big. I just need a minute to like process this, because I came in like a firecracker.
And like also because, like you just said, you were really worried. I've had a lot of really negative experiences with people and me giving myself to things and it not even not working out. It's just like I'm so open and I try and be as honest as I can be. And I mean, in my part, I've been in lots of exchanges where things haven't gone the way that we thought for both parties, and it hasn't ended well at all. So I was really nervous to step into something, and I trust you with everything, but I was really nervous as well. So we've had a lot to digest and work through together. But that's what I think has made this thing so special for the two of us as well, because the only way it's possible for it to move forward in the way that we have been doing it has been to work through all those things, first and foremost individually for ourselves, but then to have an open and honest enough relationship to be able to talk with each other about it. Right, all right, we're going to step in and do this fucking thing together. This is actually how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And it's been really hard.
It's been crazy for me, because like in my past business, like that was also a relationship, and I never spoke up about anything, and then this guy's just like, I want to talk about everything, and I'm like, what? No, I don't talk about stuff ever. So then there was this whole other layer of like communication that I had to like work through. Like if you have a problem with something, if you're feeling something, like you guys are doing this for like a whole year at 100%, you got to be like, talking to myself, you've got to be open, Mon. Like you can't close yourself off. You can't try to have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's like you're either all in on this or you're not.
Yeah, 100%.
And there was just this constant push and pull. And when I finally admitted to myself, like, all right, yep, this series is going ahead. Stefan, if you had a year to live, what would you do? Because that's the basis of obviously the series is, you know, if you did have 1 year to live, what would you do? How would you spend the next 365 days? I was like, that's a fucking massive commitment to make to something, not even someone, but just something. Yeah. So then it was like, you can't say yes to this and then halfway through go, I don't want to do this anymore.
So hang on. Oh no, we already said what it was. I did that. Continue. Go. Sorry. It's been a big week.
Yeah, so it's called A Year to Live. I don't know where you've been. But yeah, like it's going back to what it's all about. It's, again, it can be anything we want it to be, but when we kind of decided, all right, this is where Be More You is heading in 2022, the first question we asked ourselves was like, okay, like if we both had a year to live, what would we do? And for me, it was like, well, this series is what I would want to do. I would want to try and go out and just do everything that I've intended to do for so long and document the whole process, document the whole thing, and also in the process, like I've realized now, and we haven't even really started it, but like I am doing what I want to be doing, which is a really cool thing, because when I've been asking people questions, they think they have to come up with some crazy ass. They think I'm going to come up with some crazy ass answer.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I'm actually. It's a really beautiful place to find yourself in, where you're like, I'm actually doing everything I want to do. I wake up every morning and I'm actually living the life that I want to be living. Yeah, there's still things I want to do and want to go see and whatever, but like I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it. Yeah. So now it's all about, cool, like what else can you do that's going to contribute to you becoming this like newer version of yourself by the end of the year? And how do you help people along the way? Like my big thing is I want to change someone's life in some way, shape or form. And I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that's the goal. It's like
Yep.
everything you do has to try and contribute to that big goal of like changing a person's life.
Yeah.
And for you, it's...
So, as you can probably guess, it's a lot. No. No, so the first thing for me was I would record an album. So, which is... Happening. It starts on Monday. Today's Saturday. It starts in less than 48 hours, which I'm fucking over the moon about. But
so he will have actually, by the time this goes live, have recorded
most of it. Yeah, most of the beds and everything of the tracks will be done, and we've been documenting it all. And it's funny, this for me, and the reason, I remember I said it to you, recording an album, and I broke it down in this shed. It must have been a month later or something. For me, recording that, it's always been my dream to have a career in music. Always, since I was a little child. Like, I used to dance around my room, fucking singing every single Blink-182 song and playing it on bass and guitar and trying to learn drums and just everything. But for me, I realized as well, like, this year has been the most challenging and open, how do I say it? Just beautiful, which is not how I was going to say it. But I just feel so open.
Yeah.
Because I realized to have that career in music and to be able to step forward doing that, I need to have an open and honest and truthful connection with myself. And I need to have an open and honest, truthful connection with the people around me. And I realized how important that was. I realized that through all of the years of kind of pushing things down with drugs and I've tried, as you have heard, my entire life and to find that connection. And I think all of that hard work over the last 15 years has paid off tenfold this year. Yeah. When I actually stopped everything, because there's been moments where I'm like, I fucking wasted time. There's been moments where I was just like, Errol and I were talking about it earlier today about the moment when you realize when you can't stop something and you're just like, I don't fucking know anything. Like, and not the whole, I know nothing. It's like, no, I've tried so hard, and the next step is for me to just admit that I don't know how to move through this. Yeah. I really don't. And that has happened slowly over the last 2 years, but then it happened really rapidly, and I also realized, but all of the hard work that I put in to create that somewhat of a understanding of myself has paid off, because all of those tools have just come together at once, and all of those understandings have come together at once, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. I might not have known anything, but I think I'm starting to understand what that feeling's like that I've been chasing, that feeling of truth and standing in your own power. So the album is the thing that I'm doing, but for me to do that, like, I want to have a better connection. I haven't said this to my dad, but I want to have a better connection, a better relationship with him. I want to have a better connection, a better relationship with my mum and my brother and my sister and my grandparents. I want to have real, open and honest relationships. I want unconditional love with all of the people around me. I don't want anything to be pretend, ever. I don't want to, and I want to know what it feels like to be like, I need to tell you something today, or I need to just sit in this uncomfortableness for myself and for you for the next 3 days, because I don't need to say the truth today. I want to know what the difference of that feels like.
Yeah.
You know? And I would, if I had a year to live and I was going to die 12 months from today, or well, actually 12 months from the 1st of January 1st.
Extra month.
I want to know what all that feels like. I want to know what it feels like to stand in my truth and sing up in front of hundreds and thousands of people. I want to release music that is fully aligned with me over the whole year. I want to talk to people about it. I want to share it with people. I want to record it with people. I can't wait to play shows with Shembri and fucking just... Shembri's not going to listen to this. Aaron Shembri, he won't probably... Maybe I'll cut this bit out. Maybe this podcast is just me cutting bits out and sending it to people. But I fucking love the hell out of you and for everything that he's doing for me right now and we're able to do together. It's just the most... It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, music for so many years, I was around people that it was just so ambition focused. We've got to reach these targets so we can have a career in music. What you just said before, I'm literally doing everything I want to do right now. There are so many goals I want to achieve, but fuck, I get to play music with my friends, I get to podcast and hang out with you. I get to go and see my family. They're around the corner. I get like, there's just, I'm literally doing all the things that I want to be doing.
It's crazy because like we've started filming like last week for this video, and I've been going out and asking people, like, if you had a year to live, what would you do? And I've asked people to write it on paper, and I'm taking a photo of it, right? And this was all strategically planned, by the way. But I believe so wholeheartedly in the power of just writing things down, like getting it out of your head and actually putting it out into the universe and being like, I want this thing.
Yeah.
So all these people that have been writing in this book, it's literally just like this black visual diary.
Mm-hmm.
Have written these things, and they've really thought about the questions. Some people were completely thrown off, and they've gone, this question's been like on my mind constantly. I'm like, great, that's the point. You don't have to have an answer right now, but I'm going to plant the seed in your head right now, and you're going to be thinking about this constantly, even subconsciously. And then they're writing these things down, and then I asked them a question, and we recorded a few people giving the answer, and a lot of them are super simple. They're not crazy, like travel with friends, you know, better connections with people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually said to someone the other day that came to like this group meetup that we did to do that exact thing. And he said to me, he's like, you've asked me this question a lot, and every time you ask me this question, I constantly think about it. Like, I can't get it out of my head. And I said to him, I'm like, I don't even think people who are writing in this book realize the power of what they've just done, because in a year from today, I can guarantee you like 99% of the, like, this book is going to be filled with people's dreams.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you 99% of these people will go out and do the thing that they said and wrote in this book, which is so fucking cool, because that's the element of bringing other people into it to create a movement.
Yes.
Which is what we've been wanting to do with Be More You, is like, how do you build a community, and that community believes in this movement that you have created with the purest of intentions to actually change people's lives without them even realizing, because again, we're not the experts in changing people's lives, but using experience, adding on mindset and mindfulness, you know, practices, or even just bringing attention to those things through different things like flow states, through different things like, you know, creativity or whatever. Like, that's how you do it.
Yep.
Because it's not telling a person this is what you should do and how you should do it. It's showing people, which is what this film's about, which is what Be More You's about, which is like, we're just leading the way by using ourselves and our lives individually as the example, and then coming together and being like, hey guys, here you go.
Yes.
Watch us fuck everything up, move through it, like...
Like royally, constantly.
Like, yeah, and watch us do it. We'll go first, and then you can like not follow, but do it in your own way as well. So it's just been really, really cool for me to see, because in a way, I've been doing this for 2 years with people, where it's just literally like, write it down and watch yourself make it happen, and that is from experience.
I've got to say, like, that. So I've been doing these mantras, as you are well aware, every single day. So I've got a vision board up in my room. I do 100 mantras every single day. It's my only non-negotiable at the moment. And then I do a meditation of abundance, because just understanding that, like, fuck, anybody that's even able to listen to this podcast has so much abundance in their life. Like, so much. Just fucking having a phone. Being able to drive somewhere, being able to catch the bus, even live in a house. And I'm like, so they've been my only two non-negotiables, but just having that clear intention. So I've been thinking about this today. So basically what I was just getting at is having intention, having something written down. You're 100% right. I didn't understand the power of that, just that simple mantra, and just reiterating that over and over again, because then you start to understand the feeling that's accompanied with that thing. That, like, thinking about what that thing feels like. And then when things are shit, like I had a month ago where I felt really unwell for a week. I was like, I won't say what it's from.
I was watching you go. I was like, just don't skip that. It's one of those moments where you don't need to tell everything.
So I felt really sick for a week. But throughout having that thing written down, having that mantra written down, it felt really good, because Dan from Sacred asked me to do this thing, what's your sacred moment, so they can put it up on, which I'm doing down. I'll cut this out and send it to you. Oh my god, I'm going to stop. This is not funny anymore. But Laura messaged me and she's like, "Can you do a video of what your sacred moment is?" And I was like, "What's my?" Because fuck, I'm drinking so much cacao, it's out of control. So
confirm.
good though. Can confirm. Actually, having for a couple of days. But I couldn't help but think about that and that intention. I'm like, what's my sacred moment? I was like, it's just fucking sitting there and like thinking about this, about what we're doing. Sitting down and actually putting that time aside and just being like, fuck, what is my intention right now? What am I trying to achieve? I know exactly what it is because I've been asked the question constantly by you. We've spoken about the question constantly. We're asking other people and I'm watching how pumped Sam, the guy who's playing drums on my album, we had pre-production. That's how we got into this. How's my week been?
Yeah.
My week's been great. But Sam so we had pre-production on Tuesday for the album. So we go on Monday. I sent him all the demos. We went over and it's been really incredible because I haven't played with a drummer for over 2 years since the start of 2019. No. Yeah. I don't know.
I didn't know you back then, so I don't know.
I don't know.
Normally I keep track of his life.
The last show we played was at the Prince Band Room. It was actually an epic show to finish on. It was sold out with oh my god, I'm gonna forget the band's name now. Oh my god. Anyway, sold out Prince Band Room. It was fucking rad. We supported them. And it'll come back to me hopefully by the end of this podcast. But it was the last time I played drums, played with a drummer, so I just forgot what it felt like to be in a room with that many musicians. And Shembri and I did last lockdown, well the hectic lockdowns. Lance and I had moved back to Geelong and we were just living in my parents' house and I had the back shed and I was literally just doing my yoga teacher training out there. So I was practicing yoga, studying yoga, playing music, sending demos to Shembri, and he was just sending me back the music that he'd written over the top of it. So this is all we were doing day in, day out. Then he'd have other songs, I'd send him lyrics. We just wrote for a month or two straight. That was it. So I haven't been in a room with anyone. So Tuesday we were in the room with Sam and it just felt so amazing. But his eyes lit up because we practiced for a while. It might have been an hour. We went through a bunch of songs. Then we sat outside, had something to eat. And he was like, "So what is this thing?" Or I said to him, maybe he didn't even ask what it was. I said, "This thing that we're actually doing, the album, if we had a year to live, what would it be?" His eyes lit up and he was just like, "Nobody talks about this." He goes, "I don't have many interactions where," he goes, "I cherish interactions like this because it pushes you past what, just how's your day? How's work? Same shit. Or whatever the fuck it is.
It's the surface level stuff.
So, when I asked him, he was so pumped because he's like, this is what changes. This, I'm going to think about this constantly now.
Yeah.
So, watching that happen for people, it's really exciting. And because it was Mon running through the back door going, "All right, something to tell you." She doesn't sound like that. She was like, "I've got something to tell you. I need you to stay seated because this is probably going to be uncomfortable for you. I'm aware that I'm coming in really hot, but I just need to get it out." And me curled up in a ball going, all right, go.
And then I pull out my mind map and I'm like, this is what we're doing.
But for me, because it was this is amazing. And because it was your dream to do this, I'm so grateful that it's lined up in the way that it has for Be More. So probably 2.5 months ago, I sat in my lounge room. I was sitting in my lounge room, I picked up my guitar and I actually said to Ariel, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to pursue music anymore. It didn't feel right coming out of my mouth, but I was just like, I don't know what to fucking do. I was like, all of this felt really good. My life felt really full. And because I still had so much baggage and so much disbelief in my ability to actually sing and write a song, I didn't realize how much that fear was actually dictating what I was doing to move forward with it. And I said that to Ariel. She's like, "Okay." And then I sung her one song. I sung her a song called All For Nothing. And somebody close to her was going through something that had just outlined everything. And she was like, "Holy shit. What is that about?" And I told her, and I was like, "I'll sing you a few more." I nearly sung her the whole album. I just sat in the lounge and kept singing. She had I think she was making cacao. She came over and sat down and she just started playing. And I just kept playing and playing and playing. She was like, "Fuck, Stefan." I was like, "I just don't know what to do." I was like, "But this feels really good singing." And then I kept doing that. And then it was around the same time, I think this must have come up. So maybe it was just over 2 months ago. So I'm really grateful that this has come along and you have come along with this, because of course the timing's always perfect. Everything's always lined up the way that it should be. I fully, wholeheartedly believe that. But it's been really interesting for me to watch the impact that it's having on just like this past week. Seeing all the people, like everyone was just so pumped and are so pumped just to be a part of it and just to move forward with it. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is I feel like I'm in this and we're doing this together, but there's part of me that I feel like I'm watching it as well.
Yeah.
And it's this really incredible place to sit, because I'm sitting right in my lane. Like, I know what I'm doing. And I've got more belief than I've ever had before in my life. I know exactly what I have to do. And I'm a part of this thing, but I'm also watching this thing happen around me, because I'm like, you're also in your lane, doing your thing. And this is like your baby, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool. Let me kind of sit in the passenger seat. But as well as I've like got 1 foot in and 1 foot over here. And I'm like, this is wild to watch it just, I suppose, grow into this all-encompassing like community of people to be more you individually, do it collectively, and be able to, I don't know, inspire and help provoke change in one another.
That's it. And like, I think, like for me, why this is so big and huge is because, like you just said, like you 2 months ago, you weren't gonna do the album. Like, you were literally sitting there going, I don't think I want to pursue music anymore.
Which was a lie. Yeah. It was a lie, everyone. It was a blatant lie.
But
I was afraid.
But this is what, like, a year to live, that's what the question poses. It's like, if you removed everything you feared, because what we fear most is dying, and you knew you were going to die at the end of the year, hypothetically, like, what would you do? What would you fucking do now? And if your answer is something that is so achievable, what are you doing?
Yes.
Why aren't you pursuing this thing? Someone wrote something in the book, I can't remember what it was, but I read it and I looked at it and they said, like, I would like quit my job and I would do modeling and I just travel and blah 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 blah. And I looked at them and I was like, that's doable now.
You can.
That is, why are you waiting to like maybe one day receive bad news and be like, okay, so you've only got a few months or a year to live to do that? And their eyes were kind of like, I don't know. And it's the fear factor, right? So, you know, the whole video, which I'm not going to get too into because I want to surprise everyone and everyone's like, oh my God, wow, this is so amazing. But, you know, I just think like the last 18 months, we've been living in fear with everything, not just COVID, like everything. Like, it's like the fucking world blew up in 2 years.
It's like Armageddon.
Literally. So, like, you've been living in fear for 2 years. Essentially, like, some people, if they didn't utilize that time, you know, in a way that could have been productive or they could have been figuring shit out within themselves, potentially lost 2 years of their lives.
Yeah.
And coming into 2022, like, I know the whole New Year's resolution thing and blah, 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 but, like, if you just looked at it from a perspective where it's like, I have, like, a new lease on life.
Yeah.
Now, if I only gave myself a year to live, what would I do? Who would I want to become? What questions would I not even find answers to, but just try to seek answers to? Because you might not get the answer you were expecting. It could be something completely different. And then going, right, who do I want to talk to at the end of the year? Like, I'm so intrigued of, like, the Mon that's going to wake up on January 1st, 2023. Like, what's she going to be like?
Yeah.
With everything that, like, we have planned.
What?
Like, and the people you'll meet along the way. And that's what I love so much about, like, fear. Like, I feed off fear. I hate being scared. I'm always gonna, like, there'll be times where I will be scared, but I fucking hate leading into a decision or doing something out of a place of fear.
Yeah.
And
yes.
it has grown and grown and grown so vividly now that I'm just like, if it scares the shit out of me past the point where it's like, it's stopping me from growing, then by God, I'm going to go after it and, like, do it. Because when it stops you from actually expanding and growing, that's where you fucking start losing opportunity. That's where you start losing life. That's where you start dying.
Yeah.
Because you're not actually living in those moments.
No.
And so that question, just like, what would you do if you had a year to live? I mean, if you're sitting there now listening to this, just think about it. Don't have an answer. You don't need to have an answer right now. But think about it. Nat, actually, I don't know if Nat listens to this podcast. She came to that group thing we did down at the waterfront.
Yeah, she was telling me about that.
Yeah. And I remember catching up with her a few weeks ago, and she was just like, I don't really know what I want to do. Like, I'm a bit confused, a bit lost. And I was like, you're in the same boat as a lot of people right now, because now we've been living in fear in a bubble, and now the world's slowly opening up, and everyone's like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to start living again. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Because I haven't done anything for the last 18 months. And I said to her, I'm like, just don't force it. It'll come. Like, it'll make sense. And then she messaged me saying like, oh, I want to come to the group thing that you're doing. And I said, okay, cool. This is the question. What would you do if you had a year to live? And she showed up and she's like, holy fuck. Like, ever since you said that to me, it's all I've been thinking about. And she's like, but I think I know what I want to do.
Yes.
And Nat, sorry, I'm going to tell the answer. She wrote on the paper, she was like, I want to start doing retreats.
Yes.
And I want to start, I want to start doing these like group sessions and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, you don't need a year to do that. You could start next week. You could start that process next week. You do not need to wait till the end of the year to finally start getting your shit together. Like, imagine if you just started now and making the small moves right now, whether that be post a post on Instagram, talk to 5 people, whatever the fuck it is. Like, it doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing to enter into it. Just do one small thing every single day.
Yes.
For a month. Boom, there's the mindset piece.
Yes.
Grow the mindset piece and fucking do that consistently over a year. Like, imagine where you'd be in a year from now. You'd be running retreats in Bali and like fucking, I don't know, Thailand and whatever.
Sorry, I'm just so paranoid of that
Yeah,
thing. So we had, we lost a podcast. We already told them about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
And whenever the screen goes black over in the corner.
We'll get better at it in season 2. Promise. We've got someone coming on board to sort all that out for us.
No, it is, because that, I don't know, it's not going to work. What I was going to say is, the clarity that you get if you only had 1 year to live, fucking hell. Like, it's just like everything just lines up. And you're just like, oh.
I think it opens up the like option of possibilities. Like,
yes.
There is a lot out there that we can go out and do if it's A, what we want, like truly what we want, and B, like if there's the willingness to just try, there's always going to be a way to get there. Might not be an easy way to get there, might be really challenging at times, and you know, no one ever says anything like that is easy. Like, there's going to be obstacles, there's going to be challenges, but like if you have that willingness to just go after it because it's what you actually truly want, nothing's going to stop you.
And you know what? Also, I think, like, just going out, whatever it is, it's going to look different to what you think it does. And it might change, and it might, like, whatever the hell it is.
This
is
the perfect example.
Yeah.
Like, be more you. I just pointed to the sign for people who are listening.
But it's like just getting up and getting started, whatever the hell it is, just get started.
Yeah.
If you want to do something, if you don't and you're happy, fuck yeah. Your answer to a year to live, like a few people's were, like Eric's was so beautiful. He's doing all the things that were a year to live. Like, you're allowed to be like, I would do everything. It's like, yeah, well, fucking cherish everything. Just a little bit more each day. Maybe just be a little bit more present with it.
Someone actually did say when they were writing theirs, they were like, oh, like, I don't know what I'd write because I'm kind of already doing it. I was like, write that.
Yeah.
And then keep doing it.
Yeah.
Not just for a year, but forever.
You're right. What you said earlier, it's like everyone, quite often, not everyone, quite often you think it needs to be this grand, huge scale thing. Like, I need to dream bigger. But it's like, well, are you happy? Mm-hmm. Do you feel good when you wake up? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It's done.
It is.
That.
Because then those bigger dreams and whatever, they're just like added bonuses.
Of course.
Because the foundation of what you're doing every single day is enough.
Exactly.
It's more than enough. Mm-hmm. Like, it's everything. So, like, for me, you know, well, you know how big my dreams are. Like, I tell you all the time, I'm like, I'm going to go to Antarctica and meditate on the ice. And you're just like, cool, I know. But you're still going to be here for a little bit. But, you know, they're just all added like bonuses that I just want to kind of add to my story.
Yes.
Whereas what I'm doing now, like podcasting, connecting with people, like doing that Year to Live intro video, honest to God, like the amount of times I cried when no one was watching, because I was like, this is all I've ever wanted to do ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Storytell and find a way to use that storytelling piece to just connect people.
You're very good at storytelling.
I appreciate that, thank you. And in doing that, like inspire other people to just go out and do the same thing, because I know what it feels like to be made to feel small, to be made to feel like your dreams are just like, that's it, they're just dreams. And it's like, no. Well, they are if that's what you tell yourself. But imagine if you just tried to go out and achieve some of them.
I gotta say, like, I love, like, Luke does it as well, and I think it's really driven in from that other group that you guys are in. The language that you guys use around this stuff, like whether it be dreams, whether like the opportunity, all this stuff, it's not, I really noticed it this week because he was here too, and I was like, I really fucking love that. I really love it because the childlike innocence to it is so profoundly impactful, because it's like, so many people say, oh, when you're a kid, what do you want to be? When you do this and that? And it's like, you might not want to do the thing. It's not so much the thing you wanted to be when you were a kid, but it's more the feeling you had when you thought about that thing as a kid. So it's like, what gives you that feeling now?
Yeah, and apply that to something, because there will be something. But I think, like, you know, music could be one thing. Like, sometimes to people, that's just too big a stretch to even do. But it's like, it's not. No. Like, you know, I remember speaking to someone once. I fully cut you off then, but...
No, cut away.
I remember speaking to someone once who, like, said to me, like, I'm at a loss. I don't know what I want to do. And I said to them, what did you want to be when you were younger? Like, what was your... And they were like, oh, I wanted to be a doctor, but, like, I don't want to be a doctor. Like, no. But I was like, but what elements of that do you think...
Yes, yeah.
...actually sparked that bit of joy in you? They were like, oh, I think it was the whole, like, helping people. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, cool. You can help people in a lot of ways. Yeah. It doesn't have to be in, like... medicine. It literally could be serving someone food as a waitress or owning a, you know, it doesn't, like, we just get in our heads so much that it has to look a certain way and be a certain way because it has to earn a certain amount of money. You have to survive. It's all just backed by fear of scarcity, lack of. But it's like, if you actually do the thing that you love with full intention and purpose, you're gonna find a way to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, and it will mold into whatever it needs to be at every given moment. I fully lost my train of thought then. Dreams. No, I really noticed it, just like even in the stories that Luke would share. Luke is fucking amazing. I can't wait to have Luke on here to talk.
Luke is actually going... I'm just going to announce it now. So Luke, boohoo if you decide not to do it. But Luke, who filmed the whole video, he's actually like going to be the third person of Be More You. He's coming on board with us to just elevate everything that we're going to be doing, not just with A Year to Live, but just Be More You in general in 2022. And we're so excited I'm so excited to have him on board because he believes in this thing more than I've ever, like, besides us, ever seen in a person. Yeah. Like, I remember when I reached out to him, and I remember saying to you, there's this guy that I really want to film this video. This was like 4 months ago, before we even, like, had any idea what we were going to do. Yeah. And I just remember saying, like, I think this is the guy. And you're like, you haven't even met him, but all right, like, cool, whatever. And then when I reached out to him and I said, like, I really love your work. I love the way you portray everything. I love what you're about. And also he understood from, like, a YouTube point of view, because, like, a lot of the stuff that I was doing with YouTube, it was inspired by a group called Yes Theory. Mm-hmm. And they were pretty much people who just, like, went out and tried to get people to say yes to, like, dreams, fucking their fears, whatever. And so he understood the possibility of doing something just as big. Yes. So for me, it was like, this guy's a shoo-in. Like, he gets it. He knows how big this can be. Mm-hmm. I don't need to convince him. No. I just need to speak from a place of, like, excitement and passion, which is very easy for me to do. and he's going to be on board. And I remember jumping on the Zoom call with him, and we were crying on the Zoom call. Because he was just like, oh my God, this is like everything I've ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, like this guy has literally just like fallen into seamlessly. Like he's here. So then when I asked him to do this video for us, he was like, yeah, like you don't even need to ask me twice.
Yeah, he was... love Luke.
We love you, buddy.
We love you, buddy. We really do. He was just like... his passion for what he does. I remember I was driving on the way out to practice at 0 Point in Drysdale. And he had a really... he's like, this week has been really overwhelming for me. I was like, fucking oath, dude. You've met so many people. It's been really intense.
Yeah.
I said, I can see how parts of the experience, you've probably met people that have used language that maybe you don't understand or maybe might look foreign to you or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And I go, that can be really overwhelming. You also are going through a lot of your own personal shit. I just want you to know that... I hope you don't mind me talking about this, Luke.
This is part of being...
this is part of being here with us. I was like, I just want you to know, I was like, you can't wait until you guys... Actually, look him up if you're listening to this. Luke Marriott, you would have seen him tag and everything. But just his dedication to his... Not only, I'm going to say his craft, but just... I see that as a dedication to self.
Yeah.
And I see it as a dedication to self because he truly loves this more than anything. And I said to him, I'll go, dude, I hope you understand how far forward... I know it might not feel like it because maybe sometimes you feel really anxious or maybe sometimes you feel like you can't cope or you're overwhelmed. But you're literally doing the one thing everybody wants to do. And that's just the thing that they love. Like, you're already fucking there.
Yeah.
I'm like, and just watching somebody that is already there, and I don't think he understands how there he already is. But I'm like, dude, you're living the fucking dream. You're doing what you love every single day. You're damn good at it.
Yeah.
Like, really, like, gobsmackingly good at it. I'm like, just don't... It's such a cop-out to be like, just don't worry. I know it's a cop-out because people say just don't worry to me. I'm like, yeah, wide-eyed staring into their soul going, are you sure? But I'm like, you've got it and you're there. So it's just... It's just really beautiful to watch all these people coming together.
Yeah, it is. And like, that's my dream. Like, every part of this is like what I've always wanted to do. The whole bringing people together, inspiring people through stories, sharing experiences, like recording it all. It's all like every element of this thing is all I've wanted to do. So to be sitting in it and like I said, watching everybody come together. And I mean, like, I just put out on my Instagram stories, like, I'm doing this thing. I didn't even like actually say what the thing was. Like, and I had 30 people in my inbox being like, we'll do it. And I'm like, you don't like, that blew my mind because I was like, you don't even know what this thing is, but you believe in it because you believe in me. Yeah. That means so much to me. And I'm never going to have the words to actually be like, thank you.
Yes. Because
that is shit that like people search for their entire lives. And I have it like in the palm of my hand. Yeah. And I'm just so fucking grateful for these people. And so seeing everyone come together and just like meeting new people amongst the groups. I remember Eric actually said to me, he was like, you had so many different groups of people being a part of this thing, but like everybody just felt like they sort of knew each other. Yeah. Like there were such different groups and different people from different periods of my life as well. Yeah. Like, that's just special in itself.
And a random guy at Point Addis.
Oh, I targeted him and I'm like, oh, hey, buddy, like, do you want to answer a question?
Everyone thought he was just a part of the crew.
Everyone thought he was part of the crew. There's just been a lot that's happened from, like, from when we first met to the initial idea of this to... like what it's become.
This has been the most life-changing 6 months I've ever encountered. I think it's even been 5 months. Yeah. 5? 6?
Since what?
7,
we started this?
6 months. 5 months since we started this.
Yeah, I think it's like 6 months. 5? No.
5 months.
Yeah. No. September, October, November.
It went further back than that though, didn't it?
So we're going to cut this part out too. At 55 minutes.
No, it has. And it's been like...
Do you know actually what I do want to say?
Okay.
I remember you saying this to me like months ago, and I'll be dead honest, I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Like, I actually don't understand. Where I probably should have communicated and be like, Stefan, please elaborate. I was just like, oh yeah, cool. But I remember you saying to me like, this thing is so important and so special because like, we're going through our own things and we get to come together and do this thing together. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Because at that point, I still kind of I wasn't going through my own shit. You were like going through a lot of shit individually. And I was like, I don't get this. I don't understand what he means. Like, we're just doing this thing. Like, it's whatever. And then when I started going through shit, I was like, oh, this is what he means. It's this. Because now we have to talk about it together.
Yeah.
And then we have to actually present it in a way that's like, so this is what we've been going through and this is how we've coped and dealt with it.
Yeah. I mean, because we met, but we literally met on your podcast.
Yeah.
So it went from like 0 to 1,000, and there was no call to be like, hey, I'm going to talk about this, or I'm going to talk about that. It was just like, tell me about your story. And then, so it went 0 to 1,000 really, really quick anyway. But then, and then when Be More You started, like, as you guys have heard, it was just like, Mia, we're going to do this thing. But the moment it actually started kicking off, dramatic changes happened in my life. Then dramatic changes and things that you were going through started happening in your life too. And if we are to be more ourselves, we have to, well, that's what the opportunity that the universe gives you, right? You get to work through your stuff and you get two choices. You're going to be afraid and you're going to walk back into what Andrew would say, a past timeline or an old pattern.
Andrew is the
kinesiologist that we both see. If you want to sort your shit out, go see Andrew.
Go see Andrew.
Andrew Birchall.
This is not even sponsored.
This is not sponsored at all. We haven't even spoken to him about it. Go fucking see Andrew Birchall. I promise you, dramatic things will change in your life and you're going to be like, I don't want it to change. And it's going to, because that's what we're here to do. So we can shed the layers and step into our power. But I was like, this is really interesting. Be More You is really interesting because the only possible way this can succeed for us both is for us to move through this. And it has got as mixed and jumbled and insane for us both individually, together, apart, as it possibly could. Yeah. I remember saying to you at the start, I was like, it was really cool because we got this grace period of about 2 weeks or 3 weeks where it was like everything felt super pure. There was nothing else. It was just like, this idea is really close to both of our hearts.
Yeah.
And then the chaos started happening. But it was beautiful because I was like, holy fucking shit. All of these lessons, all these things that we got to move through, and this might be annoying to listen to. I'm just not even going to get into all of it because it's too much right now. But if you've ever felt like an old pattern has come up in your life and you have to move through it, or you step back into that old pattern, imagine that happening over and over again for 5 months straight, because that's what it's felt like.
Yeah.
And it's been, I've been looking on this situation in awe and beauty and total fucking frustration day after day, going, this couldn't be dressed more beautifully though. Because we both got given the opportunity to step forward into this and be like, holy shit, this is all we've ever wanted.
Yeah.
This is literally this thing, this Be More You thing. How could it not be all you've ever wanted? Because it's literally just requiring you to step into your truth and your power.
Yeah.
So that's all anybody wants. People say they want freedom, they want happiness. No, you want your power.
Yeah.
You want your truth.
But like freedom and happiness and all that stems from stepping into your power.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's it. Yes, exactly. So it's like, oh my God, we have this opportunity to step into our truth, step into our power, and fucking by God, it is uncomfortable. Like even talking on a podcast for me is still, at the very beginning of this podcast, I was like, when I went on that ramble where you guys were all like, probably like, shut up, Stefan. I felt my cheeks start going red and rosy. I felt myself starting to get embarrassed because I was like, I know I meant something. I know at some point this made sense to me. But I'm going to fuck it up. And yeah, you can delete it, but I don't want to. Like, I want to just be able to talk freely and, like, understand that. So it's been the most beautiful, crazy, like, I don't know what the right word for painful is in spots. Painful experience, because at the foundations of it is like this ultimate truth that both of us know and felt. And it's just nice to be able to have that to anchor to.
Yeah.
You know? As it grows and evolves, I don't even know where this started, but as it grows and it evolves, it's always going to be from that truth, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And for that, I'm super fucking grateful, because it's meant me stepping into a career in music, me stepping into getting embarrassed and talking on a podcast. I know that it comes from that original anchor of truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, fuck yeah, let's keep doing it.
Oh yeah, I keep saying to Stefan, it's funny because again, just looking back at that very first reel, it was just like an intro reel that we did.
Yeah.
And the studio was there. It was like, we didn't have this. We literally had one sheet sitting on a stool over that side of the shed. We're still in a shed. But even seeing that and then thinking, oh, this is all it's going to be. And then one day being like, I think I can actually build us a studio.
So we're like, oh, I can't wait. We thought we were going to have to... Oh, yeah. So we're like, can't wait to have a studio. And I was like, actually, yeah, I can build that.
Yeah. And so this has been the really exciting thing for me, because I've never worked with someone in something that I've loved so much, where... Like, for me, doing this solo, it was like pulling teeth with people. Like, I'd have to beg people to come do something with me. I had to, like, beg people to just say yes, which is fun sometimes, but constantly having to do that. And then you drop in and you're like, I can build us a studio. And I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean? You can just build us a studio? Like, having someone that's just like, yeah, okay, let's go do that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
You know, that was really exciting for me, because I just never had that kind of energy around me. And I think I've said it to you before, like, you also make me believe in, like, so much more. I'm like, oh, fuck, if he says yes to that, I'm going to go bigger. Like, why not? Well, fucking, who cares? Let's try go bigger and better. So, like, this studio here, this has been here, now, for 2 months? 3 months? Yeah. But, like, it's just little things like that. Yeah. And I sometimes forget to sit in these little moments, because I'm kind of thinking, oh, I can't wait till we have the big studio with the skate park in it. And we're like, basically Google headquarters, but better. So, like, even sitting here, like, I'm super grateful for this space, because we've had so many amazing guests throughout this first season come through and talk to us, and, like, build connections and community through that. Like, these are the moments and memories that you have to cherish, because this is where it all started. It couldn't have started without all of this.
No, 100%.
And that's where I think, like, I mean, we all do it. We see success as, like, what's glitz and glamour, and, like, you know, the Tony Robbins of, like, the mindset world, or the fucking, you know, Eckhart Tolle of the mindfulness world. And it's like, yeah, but those guys didn't start there.
No.
They did not. They didn't even have Instagram back in the day. Like, so why can't you have an idea or have a dream, like, you want to be a film director? Cool, start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You want to be a musician? Sick, record some music, put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many ways to do the things you love. It's never been easier.
Never.
As difficult as it is, because yes, you know, markets and stuff are so saturated, it's also never been easier to get your shit out there.
No, and it's never, and if you're in, I just always come back to it, if you're in your truth and it's what you're meant to be doing, then it will cut through everything.
Yeah.
It just will. And I just wanted to say as well, like, for me, I've never had somebody, like, working in business with somebody, I've never had somebody that just simply fucking gave me the space. You probably heard I take a long time to get to my point sometimes. I really do. And I know that, and I used to feel really fucking bad about it for years, because I just felt dumb. I was like, you're dumb, you can't just fucking say what you want to say. Everyone always thinks you're beating around the bush. I'm not. It's just the way that it's just the way my brain works. Yeah. I have to say all the little fucking crazy weird things, and people look at me with their jaw open going, what is this weirdo talking about? I'm like, it only makes sense to me if I say every little piece of it. And I've tried to change that it's just not going to change. It's just how I am and who I am. But I've never had somebody that's let me finish that full thought pattern and not think that I'm just full of shit and I'm trying to beat around. The amount of times I've been cut off halfway in my life and people being like, yeah, but Stefan, it's just this. And I'm like, that's not what I wanted to say. You didn't let me finish. So just simply having somebody that gives me the space to talk and the space to listen and the space to be like, yeah, I will do that with you. I love the sound of that. Fuck yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
It's like, you're 100% right. It's just the little things like that and it's like I said before, like that foundation, it's pure.
Yeah.
You're like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
We can do this. I'm like, can I explain this? And you're like, yes, I will listen to you.
Yeah. And like, you know, for me, again, it goes back to like me always being cut off as well. It's my pet hate. So I hate, I don't know, for someone who's like, oh, it gives you the space to listen. No, I'm kidding. You've gotten a lot better.
I just get excited and then I just fucking blow it out my head. But that's what I
love. That's why I literally, like, I love listening to you because, like, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met. Period. Like, I really, really do believe that. And some of the stuff you say, I'm like, fucking hell, where did he... Last night was the most perfect example of, like, we got ice cream. And I don't even know what we're talking about, but Stefan said the most fucking profound thing ever. And I was kind of looking out the window and I was like, shit, that was really, really, like, I've never heard it being put that way. And I literally looked over to him and he had the ice cream on the spoon, like in a trance, watching it just melt off the spoon while he was saying this. And I was like, this picture right now doesn't fit what he's just said, but this guy's a fucking genius. And it was just like the funniest thing I've ever seen. But I was like, I love watching how your mind works because it fascinates the living shit out of me. Because I'm like, oh my God, like how did he get from there to there? And so, yeah, you can rant and go around in circles as much as you want. I'll always listen.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That was really funny. I was hypnotized by the ice cream.
Ice cream melting. I was just like, what is going on?
I was like that. I can't even remember what I said. I was trying to rethink it.
It was really... I was just like, oh, wow. It's like, that should be written down in a book. But anyway.
It felt really lovely coming out. The ice cream looked beautiful, dripping into the cup.
No, but yeah, it's been like the craziest... Like, we started this podcast now, it'll be 10 weeks ago. And like 10 weeks sounds like a really long time, but it's flown by in this instance just because... Like, everything's just ramping up in both our lives. Yeah. And that can feel really overwhelming sometimes because it's not going to stop and it's probably not going to slow down. I don't really want it to slow down because it's like we're just doing the things. Like, the things that we say we want to go out and do, we're doing it. And my hopes for this whole... For Be More You in general, but particularly with this YouTube series... is that's all I wanted to do for other people. It's just like someone to watch these videos and see what we're doing and be like, well, these fucking people can do it. Why can't I?
Yeah.
Why can't I? Same.
And the way that you explain that has always made me go, like, I didn't realize how afraid I was of failure. Like, I didn't realize how much I was sabotaging myself. And I want to speak to that for myself. First and foremost, just so I can remember as I move through, it's like, hey, no, you're doing really good. Like, this is really good. Keep doing that. But also, if a byproduct of that is somebody that goes, oh, like you said, I can do it too, that's incredible. Maybe like, hey, if you're freaking out, fuck yeah, I freak out too. Yeah. A lot. But you can move through it. I don't know how you move through it because it's going to look different for the both of us, but it's possible. It's really possible. And I'm really excited to document it all. I've been doing a lot of video. The last few weeks I haven't done as many video journals, but I was doing a lot.
So I set Stefan this task with the whole recording process because I think it's really it's fascinating for me because it's so different to video and film and stuff, but it's kind of playing in the same field as like a creative industry sort of thing, like in terms of storytelling and everything. Yeah. So it's really fascinating watching you go through the whole process of like writing songs, producing, recording, and all of that. But what's more fascinating is like, obviously I've kind of been through the last 6 months with you and everything you've gone through and like everything you've moved through and just witnessing it and watching it. But the video journals, like, I haven't seen them yet. I've been waiting like 3 weeks for them, but that's okay.
I'm scared.
But like, I remember saying to you like ages ago, the whole documenting process of just literally talking to a camera and seeing that version of you from 3 months ago or whenever you started, like seeing how far that guy's come. to where you are now. Sometimes it's embarrassing, sometimes it's like scary, whatever. But like to sit there and I mean this again, speaking from experience from doing YouTube for a year and having to sit there and watch myself, record myself, edit the videos myself, constantly watching myself and like learning how to love myself every single fucking week. That, whether you realize it or not, is so powerful and impactful. Which is why this whole process of documenting the year and everything we move through the video journals, through the experiences, whatever, like that gets me so excited. We actually did a video a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I forgot about that already.
Yeah. See, how good. We did a video where we actually spoke to the future versions of ourselves, which would be Mon and Stefan at the end of 2022. And we literally spoke, I mean, these podcasts are a great example too, but we pretty much spoke about like all the things that we wanted to do in 2022. Yeah. And it's already changed. We've added so many more things from what we said initially we were going to do. Do you remember what we said we were going to do?
In 2022, on that video.
That's a no. Silence generally means no. No, but like, I remember a few things, but I was like, fuck, we've added so many more things. Like, so many more people, like, we already anticipate so many more people coming along on things that we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, that's just so exciting to me because as much as nothing's set in stone, just getting something out there and being like, I want to go and do this because this is true to me and this is what I want to be doing.
Oh, there's so much fun things.
Like, for me, it's like there's no reason why it can't happen. And where there's obstacles, yeah, we'll find a way. We will fucking, I will die before I like let something slide where I could have made an impact or changed something.
Yeah, I know you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that about you.
Thanks. Yeah, but you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is like this year to live thing, it's just gonna, I believe in it so much that it's gonna change so many people's lives. And it comes back to that dream of mine, just like change one person's life.
Ask Shembri, actually you as well, how often I say how excited I am.
Oh, like 7 times a day. But good, be excited.
I'm just like, I think this is going to be this is maybe in our lifetimes. I'm really reluctant to say statements like that because nobody fucking knows what's going to happen in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. And not in a negative way, a positive way as well. But there's no doubt that this specific time period will be indented in everyone in the world's mind for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Whether other dramatic things happen or not, I don't know. But I know that this time period will because it's been the first time period ever where people have been shown that, hey, stop fucking seeking control. Everything's out of your control. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that everything's out of your control because you never had control in the first place. So having that realization, I think, is the first beautiful step into doing what you want and having the things that you want. Because if you lose that perceived control, you realize that everything's out of your hands.
That's one thing I think, like, the last 5 months or so has really, really taught me. Like, I thought I knew what letting go of attachment was, but I fully understand what surrendering means.
Yeah,
Because it's been like, it just feels like time and time again, these waves have been coming and crashing on me. And at moments I felt like I was drowning, literally. But the lesson that just kept repeating itself was just surrender to this.
Yeah.
Surrender to it so you can find that curiosity again to just seek the possibilities again. And it's a more fun and playful like area to play in because, like you said, you're not in control of anything.
No.
All you can control is how you react in the moment.
Yeah.
And if you're reacting from a place of pure love and good intention and compassion and kindness towards yourself and towards other people, fear can't stand a chance there.
No.
It doesn't stand a chance. So, like, that's probably in the last 5 months. I thought I understood it, but now I'm like, and I probably, again, in 5 months' time, I'll probably be like,
I have no idea.
What I said on that podcast? Nah. But that's a really cool thing, again, with, like, documenting stuff. Because, you know, what you think now and what you believe now, that's probably going to change in a month.
Yeah, that's
in
been
2 months. In 6 months. In 2 weeks, something could happen and you could be like, no, I don't believe that anymore.
that's been one of the things that that's been one of the things I've had to let go of as well.
Yeah.
It was so my whole life verbally, I think, because it was so hard for me to talk when I was younger about my feeling. Everyone's like, was it hard for you to talk? What? So hard for me to talk about my feelings and what I was going through that for the rest of my adult life was just like, I gotta say everything all the time. But being okay with that, whatever that truth is to you today, it might be different tomorrow, and it might be different the day after, and that's all valid, and it's okay. I don't remember what I said on any of these podcasts. Ever.
Neither. And I don't even listen back to them.
Neither.
At all.
But at the start, I remember being like, oh, this is so scary. I didn't even get scared today.
Sure. Look how far you've gone.
And until I was 5 minutes into a rant that I knew nowhere where it was going. But that's what's been so cool about doing this with you as well. Like seeing you, I remember the first couple of weeks, I was like, you're one of the smartest people that I know.
Oh, thanks.
And watching you speak the way that you do on here, I remember there was a couple of podcasts, I felt like I was just sitting in the middle of a conversation looking back and forth because I was just like, I don't know what to say. I don't have anything. But I've loved to be able to be in the presence of watching you be in the middle of your thing and just watching you in your element, and then watching you interact with other people that come on and talk to them about the things that they love has been... I just think the more that you can be around people that are doing what they love and are in their flow state of what they are, by God, does it rub off on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never understood that properly. I
feel the same when I watch you play and sing.
Yeah.
You're in a completely different world.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to be in that world, but I want to find that world for me.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, whoa, like nothing else exists right now. Like I'm just in this state where it feels good and it feels right, and I really love this thing.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like talking to people. It's, it's literally sitting at my computer editing.
You're just so pumped at whatever anyone's doing ever.
Yeah.
I've never met somebody like that. It's really incredible to watch.
I just want people to win.
Yeah, I know.
But on their own, like,
I know.
Yes, I know. I remember, when we first met, I was just like, I just want you to fucking win. Like, I literally just want to be a cheerleader. But that's, again, that comes back from, you being a kid, not being understood and feeling the need to always be heard. It was like, for me, it was like, I just hated people telling me I couldn't do something. Like, it's something that I loved as well, and then for so long, I lost myself in, what everybody else wanted me to do. Like, that shit wasn't right for me. It was never, and I look back now, and I think, everything I'm doing, I've fully just come back to it. It's taken me, many, many years to come back to it, but I've gone back to the thing I always wanted to be when I was a kid.
Yeah.
A film director and an author.
Yeah.
Because both entail storytelling.
You launched a book this year.
Oh yeah, I did that too. Forgot about that.
I forgot about that.
But, again, those things, they don't look like what I thought they were going to look like as a kid. Like, a Hollywood film director was my dream. I didn't do that. I'm a YouTuber, which is just as cool. Because I'm still it's that feeling of, creating, of connecting, of storytelling. Like, I'm doing that just in a different way.
Yeah.
I want it to be a New York Times bestseller. That is going to happen. But this year, I was like, why aren't you writing a book? You've got all this shit to say. Fucking say it.
Yes.
So I wrote a book. It was a PDF. I still wrote a book.
You wrote a book? You released a book?
Yeah. So, I think for me...
I remember somebody asked me, they were like, what is Mon doing? And I was like, she just released a fucking book. I'm like, really? I was like, yeah. It's like, I've got smart friends.
But, for me, that's what I want to show people. It's you're your biggest obstacle. It's not other people.
No.
It's not. At any point...
No, it's not anything else.
No. you know, people that come to me and go, oh, I want to start a podcast. Cool. Do you have a phone? Yeah. Cool. Just buy an external mic. I'm like, oh, but I need like proper. No, you don't. The very first podcast I ever recorded when I had my podcast were done on my phone with like just an external mic.
Yeah.
No one fucking knew.
No.
Literally. And everyone's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I couldn't afford to buy a microphone, so I didn't. But I knew I wanted to start, so I just started. YouTube as well. Like the first 9 months of having a YouTube channel, I filmed everything on my iPhone. So I tell people now when they're like, oh, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. I'm like, cool, start recording on your phone. You've got no excuse because you're always on your fucking phone.
And exactly. And how old's is it your cousin that started the YouTube channel?
Yeah, my little, he's not little, he's actually like 15. My 15-year-old cousin started a YouTube channel because he was obsessed with not the content that I produced, but just he thought it was the coolest thing that I was doing YouTube. And I had all these subscribers from like all over the world. And I remember him saying to me, he's like, oh, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. I'm like, what do you want to do it on? He's like, I really like trains. And this kid loved trains since he was a kid, though. Do you know how much this kid knows about trains?
I don't.
He knows the names of all of them, how many like seats it carry. Like, he's on another fucking level. And he just wants to be a train driver.
I love that.
He's 15 and that's all he wants to do. And it's all he's wanted to do since he was literally a child. He blows my mind because I'm like, you should... Yeah, do that.
Just go drive trains. You can do that.
Yeah, so he bought a camera, like for his birthday, he saved up all his money. He got a camera and he just started going down to random railways around like, you know, Bell Park, Bell Post Hill, and started filming these trains going by.
I love that so much.
Now he gets a group of friends, like he's met other fellow YouTubers who are train YouTubers, and they go up to Melbourne and shit, and they just film the trains.
That's like, fuck, that's the power of...
Can I just say one more thing? He says to me the other day, he calls me Moni. No one ever call me Moni. Don't. He's like, so Moni, I've been thinking about like what I want to do for like my next big video. And I'm like, oh yeah, what are you thinking about? He's like, well, when I hit 40 subscribers, like I want to do a big video. And I just like sat there and I was like, I fucking love that 40 subscribers to you is like, and it is a milestone achievement.
Fucking oath it is.
And you want to do a big video on hitting 40 subscribers and you want to thank people for watching your videos.
I
like,
love that.
He's not getting millions of views, but like, he's showing up every fucking week. This kid is like planning trips to the local station, getting groups of people that are like-minded, going to Melbourne, fucking go to Shepparton, wherever they go to. They sit there and they film these trains and they upload it with music and stuff.
I love that.
He's 15. Imagine if he kept doing this for another 5 years.
There's so many pockets of... I'm one for this as well, of how disconnected everyone is and talking to it in a way that's not... Like, just through technology and talking about it through a way that's not positive. But by God, can you connect with people that are like-minded through all of these different media outlets or social medias? And oh God, I sound like a fucking... I sound like I'm 86 years old when I talk
about technology.
When I talk about technology. But what people... I've been like this since I was 18.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And honestly, like, the amount of people that I've met from all over the world, like, I get messages from people in Germany, Belgium, like, Canada, and they're all like, when you come here, stay with us. Like, I feel like I know you. I feel like I've known you forever. Because they've watched my life for a year.
Yes.
They've watched all the ups and downs for a year. It's literally like they've been a part of this whole process and journey. That there's no surface level bullshit because like I've been so open from the get-go.
I gotta say that's been really cool speaking to people, even that I've just met in Geelong now. Nothing's really that surface level with people that I meet now and I've had a yoga teacher, Angus. Fucking love Angus, he's a legend. He started speaking to me back open in your studio the other week at 0 Point in Drysdale, and we were talking. He just mentioned the story piece that we did. So like, I just wanted to say how amazing I thought it was and everything. He goes, to be honest, I felt a bit weird. He's like, I was going to message you, but the hour and a half that I watched of your video is longer than the time we've even spent together. And I was like, I was like, yeah. but it was really nice for him to acknowledge that and be like, so I didn't want to just, I fucking love all the messages. I'm not saying that I don't love messages, but it was just a really interesting perspective to hear from somebody. I fucking love hearing from anybody about anything. But it was so interesting to have somebody else verbalize that to me and be like, it must be weird. And I was like, huh, yeah, that is. But then I realized what you just said, none of the interactions I have now, and this is what I love about it, people that I've known my whole life that knew nothing about me.
Yeah.
We have some incredible conversations now from the get-go too. It's not like, how's your day? Or we can still ask how your day is. I'd love to hear what your day's like, you know?
Yeah, I know.
The amount of people I ask what's for dinner.
Stefan gets himself into a lot of trouble sometimes with the niceness he projects.
I do. Fucking hell. But yeah, so it's been really interesting watching that because it's beautiful to be able to... people just open up more to me. People just open up more to themselves. And they allow themselves to speak to what they are going through. And not it's... I have to always premise this. It's not something negative they're going through. But they just feel free to speak.
I think it's that piece as well. You're absolutely right. But I also think the added thing to that is like, again, it's the consistency in a person. Like when a person shows up as who they truly are, it opens the floodgates to other people to be like, oh, like nothing bad's actually happened by you just being you. Like, you know, I think so many people live in fear of like, oh, if I speak my truth, no one's going to like me. Or, you know, the friends that I have, they're going to think so differently of me. And it's like, well, if they do, are they really your friends? Like if that's what they're holding you at and the image they see you at, and they can't accept who you actually are underneath it all, I'd be questioning the friends, not you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's that piece of like, in so much times of uncertainty, finding and seeing people who like are actually certain with who they are right now, people gravitate towards that. I've had someone say that to me because I used to always cop the whole, you're so intimidating to talk to. I don't want to be like that. Like I want people to come up to me and like talk to me. Like I look at you, everybody comes and talks to you. I'm like, hey, hello, what about me? But I remember someone once saying to me, because I point blank asked, I was like, because they said to me, the first time I went to speak to you, like I was so fucking intimidated by you. And I was like, can I just ask why? Like, is it my facial expressions? Is it like, no, seriously, is it my body language? Like, what is it? Because I never want anyone to feel like they can't just approach me and be like, hey, like... And they actually said to me, it's like, no, it's not, like, it's not you. It's just you project, like, this security within yourself. Like, you know who you are. And that's really intimidating when someone, like, who isn't really sure of who they are, coming up and approaching someone like that. And that's when I was like, oh, then it's got nothing to do with me. I'm not going to lower my, you know, confidence or that, like, energy that I come in at to kind of make you feel better. Like I'm not gonna, because if I start doing that, it's not gonna be good for me, and I know that because
that won't be your
exactly
truth.
But after hearing that, I was like, oh well, then just I'm not going to change that about myself, because if that's an insecurity you have and I'm just kind of a mirror to that, I'm here to talk to you. You can talk to me. I'm not like going to bite your head off. Unless I'm tired and hungry.
The only reason I was laughing is because I just... You know that photo that Rosie took of you and you're like, that's the stare. That's the intense stare. And you're like, no, I'm being serious. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just thinking of that photo.
I do have a pretty intense stare. But, yeah, like I think, you know, again, it's the whole transparency piece. Like when you go first, which is why the experience and the stories thing was critical when we started Be More You, because... You can't gain a person's trust when they don't know the real you.
No. And it was like... Do you remember how... Like, beneficial that was? Like, do you remember how beneficial that was for us? Everything that you had to go through?
Yeah. That was...
But actually, can I also say this? It's like, yes, you're allowed to talk, Stefan. Thank you.
Take the point.
This doesn't stop... I thought... this doesn't stop being hard though. Like the other day, you might have seen, if anybody follows me, that I did a thing about float tanks at Wellness Studio. And I just did a question, what's everyone's experience has been like? Because I've had so many vast array of different experiences in a float tank. And I was just thinking from one perspective, that of being sober at first, and I was just like, sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's good, I get a blocked nose, sometimes depending on the float tank that I'm in, there's different types. They're different experiences as well. And one of my friends wrote, sober or ... and he drew mushrooms, because we'd eaten mushrooms and gone in the float tanks together. We used to get really stoned and go in the float tanks together. And quite a lot of regular floaters actually do that, because it can expand. I've had some of the most positive experiences in float tanks, just smoking a little bit of weed or just microdosing, eating a few mushrooms. But the guilt and shame that came up when he posted that, and I shared it, and I did the most I fully avoided the question. And I noticed myself doing it, and I was like, I thought I'm just open and honest with everybody now. And I realized how terrifying it is for me, because I've looked at drug use, which, let me say, 95% of my drug use was extremely negative. It was constant avoidance. But I also explored the positive impact of psychedelics and the positive impact of using marijuana as a medicine. And I've been obsessed with the way that they can be used positively for my entire adult life as well. It's just I predominantly use them negatively.
Yeah.
And whilst I still had a very negative, avoidant mentality towards them, and I was still using them to escape, I was still trying to explore these positives, and I just wasn't fucking there yet, and I'm still not yet. But this thing popped up, and I was scared to talk about my positive experiences, and I was like, that is bullshit, Stefan. You can't step into this Be More You space. You can't talk openly and honestly and completely deny your positive experiences with these different tools, because I was afraid of what people would think. I was afraid that people would be like, oh, he's just being a cop-out so he could use something again to avoid again, because that's the narrative I told myself for so long. Oh my God, I had a meltdown in my fucking lounge room. I was just like, what? And I remember I said to you, I was like, oh, have a great night. I'll talk to you tomorrow. 15 minutes later, I was back on Instagram filming myself going, all right, so I avoided this and I'm going to talk to it quickly. Mon probably wrote it when you said you were going to bed. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know why this is so hard. So basically what I'm trying to say is, people often say to me, you're so open, you're so honest. And I try to be. I'm as open and honest as I can be with people on a day-to-day. Complete transparency. What I've learnt recently is complete transparency for me. It's going to be different for anybody, but the levels of my transparency are going to fucking vary day to day. And complete transparency today, it might be crystal clear. I might tell you absolutely everything and tell the world absolutely everything. Tomorrow it might be really murky, and that is still just as crystal clear.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to look really different, because I think there's this trap right now. I noticed it in the last couple of weeks, where it's like, I have to say I'm the biggest sucker for this. I have to say everything every day, all the time. You've probably heard me say it a bunch. But I have to say everything all the time, every day. It's like, no, you fucking don't. You really don't. But if it makes you feel as uncomfortable as those mushrooms in a float tank made me feel, talking about that in a positive way, there's probably something sticky there that maybe it's time to work through.
Yeah.
And I realize for me now, it's going to be understanding the difference between what a positive modality is, because people are using so many different plant medicines. And I know there's heaps of trippers out there eating shrooms once a week going, I'm using plant medicine. It's like, no, you're avoiding all of your shit, dude. Be sober for a little bit. So I'm aware that's a perspective, but also there are people in the Amazon running ceremonies that have been doing it for thousands of years, but there's also fucking therapists using MDMA, using psychedelics, whether it be psilocybin through mushrooms, whether it be LSD, and having better results than years upon years or lifetimes of talk therapy has been able to do. So I just wanted to say that it's not easy to talk about everything.
It's not.
It's really challenging, and it flows freely, and understanding where that feeling is sometimes. Actually, my friend Beck, I never wrote back to her. Fuck. Beck's not going to listen to this. But she messaged me, and because she's in neuro... I'm going to fuck this up, Beck. I'm sorry. She's a neuro... She's a physio, and she works with the brain.
Okay.
I don't know how to say what you do. You're not going to hear it. Anyway. And she messaged me, and she said, good on you for stepping through that stigma. I didn't even realise that that's what... I was like, for me, it's just... I'm just trying to work my shit out.
You're doing a good job of it. You're doing a very, very good job of it.
Anyway, that went on a side tangent I didn't think it was going to, but there you go. That's what I needed to say.
Yeah, like it's so funny because I think I said to you, I even said it on that video that we did for the future self thing. I was like, sometimes I look at you and I go, you're my biggest fear. You are literally, you mirror every insecurity that I have because you do all the things. Like, I would love, like, I think I'm open and honest about a lot of things. I think I'm open and transparent about a lot of things. And people tell me, like, oh, you're so open. No, I'm not. Because about the real serious shit that, like, digs at me, I don't speak about. And it's almost like, I just forget to because I'm so used to suppressing.
Yes, okay.
Until it gets to a point where it's just built and built and built over time, and I've gone, it doesn't matter. Like, that's a silly thing to, like, fret over. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then one simple thing happens, which is, like, maybe not even relevant to what's actually going on, and I just implode. And it's really, really horrible for myself, because then I get angry at myself, and the guilt and the shame sets in, because I'm like, oh my God, like, you're not this person anymore, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, that thing lives inside of you. Like, it's a part of who you are. It's a part of your nature. It's not about suppressing that part. It's just about understanding it and being like, okay, when this thing happens, this is what you need to do. Just talk about it to someone you trust.
Yeah.
So I just, like, again, it goes back to, like, listening to you speak and get all your thoughts out. It's like you lay everything out on the table, so there's nothing left there for you to go back and, like, ponder on.
Yeah.
It's like, I got it out.
Yeah.
Now I can work out all the pieces. Now I can actually make sense of this all.
Yes.
Whereas I work it all out in my head before I verbalize the final piece.
Yes.
Right? And then, like, another thing I've noticed is, like, your way of showing, like, what's the word? I don't even know what the word is. Anyway, your thing is communication, mine's action. Like, I'll show someone how much I care and how much I love them through actions, through what I do. You say it all. I don't say it all. I do it. Like, I just, you know, and that bites me in the ass sometimes, because I should be communicating more than just trying to do stuff for people, because then it's like, oh, this person's not, like, seeing how much I'm doing for them. They're not appreciating it. But it's like, they don't need you to do anything. They just need you to talk to them.
But also, maybe for you it's having people around you that understand that that's just how you operate.
Yeah.
As well. Because I also think there's a level of communication that's good for everyone. Like, for me, it's just fucking getting it out. I just have to get it out, and I need to have that communication with people that are closest to me. Otherwise, things just won't work on any level with anyone, because it's just the way that I am. But it's something that Ariel's actually taught me as well a lot, with different things that she goes through with different people in her life. And I understood that some people, like what you just described about yourself, that is one of your biggest attributes. People won't just go out and do things for other people blindly, you know, and you do it because you love doing it. So I think maybe it's most important having people around you that can understand that and see that for what it is. So maybe you do need to talk a little bit more. I don't know what you got going on up there. What is it?
I remember what we had something, it was a few months ago. Here's a perfect example. I won't go into the actual example, but I remember you being on the phone. You were getting so panicked and paranoid about, like, the whole trading thing.
Yes, yeah.
And I remember you, like...
Okay, so that's a good example. Yeah, maybe we could talk about it.
So I started learning about, like, this thing, right? And in my head, I was like, cool, I'm doing this so we can go and make Be More You 10 times bigger.
Yeah.
And Stefan was like, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. That's cool. And then I started talking about it more. I was like, oh my God, and I'm learning this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And he's like, yeah, that's cool.
In the meantime, we completely stopped talking about Be More You. So I'm sitting there going, is this even a fucking thing anymore? Like, what's happening?
And it was the funniest thing because then we got on the phone. Like, it was just like on a random fucking Wednesday or something. And you literally... I know when you want to say something because you're like, okay, so. And I'm like, here we go. This is going to be something that's been eating him alive. And I'm like, yep. And he's like, I just need to say this. Like, I just need to get this out. And you literally expressed, like, your fear around, like, everything that I was doing. It wasn't about Be More You anymore, and blah, blah, blah. And I was on the phone on the other end, like, no joke, I'm getting angry because I was like, this motherfucker, I am literally fucking doing this for the both of us, and he has the audacity to raise his voice at me and say, you don't talk about Be More You anymore. I was like, this is for Be More You, Stefan. And then I literally said that way, and you were like, okay, you need to just say that.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, oh my God, I actually didn't say that. I just assumed he knew.
Yeah.
And that's what's bitten me in the ass before. Like, I'll go off and I'll do things.
Okay, now I understand.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Just maybe 10% more communication.
I'm learning.
Just that one line. Yeah, okay.
But, you know, it's the whole thing. Like, I've never been around somebody who just, like, who speaks as much. Honest to God, I've never, ever had, like, friends that would openly speak about this sort of stuff. I was never, like... My family don't speak about, like, stuff that's actually eating at them. So I've just always, like, I've taught myself to protect myself from, like, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of, you know, not being liked. Just figure it all out in your head before you say something.
Yeah.
Whereas you're just like, I just gotta say this, and I'm just gonna say it. And I appreciate that. I respect it so fucking much because I know I need to do more of that. Like, I know I need to. And that scenario just then, what I explained, was this massive turning point for me where it was like, he can't read your mind. No one can. So if you're doing something, explain why you're doing it so that person isn't left guessing and assuming, and then you're getting angry because they're not appreciating what you're doing when it's like, they don't fucking know what you're doing.
I had no idea.
And then I used the analogy. I used the analogy of saying that I was like, yeah, it's good. I use the analogy of saying it's like the two of us with Be More You, we're just in this big ass toy store. Like, it's massive, it's huge, and it's like our own little world. And we're walking down the same aisle of the toy store, and then you stop and you, like, get fixated on a toy because you're just like, oh my God, wow, this is so cool. And I'm like, that's really cool. I found more toys over here. I'm going to go into the next aisle. And you look up and you're like, hey, where are you? We're in the same toy store, but I'm just like...
you just didn't tell me you were leaving to the next aisle.
Yeah.
No.
So, I don't even know if that's a good analogy, but anyway.
I think it's good.
Thanks. But yeah, that's been another massive thing that in this whole process of doing this with you that I've just learned, where I'm like, fuck, like, if you actually want people to understand you, you've got to speak about it. Like, even if it is something like just being like, hey, I'm doing this because this is the grand plan.
Yeah, and I've learned... It's so fucked up because I feel like both of us... We've literally, to prepare us for this, and I honestly believe from the bottom, and I know you do too, from the bottom of our hearts, that this is just to prepare us for whatever's next, this next thing that we're doing next year. We've literally been dressed in each other's every single pattern, every single insecurity, every single fear both of us have had for each other. Mm-hmm. It has been the most incredible thing I've ever witnessed before in my life. Because it's been dressed in such a safe environment. Yeah. So it's like, oh, we both get to work through all of our own shit. Really uncomfortable. And we really have to be open and we have to talk about it. And for me, a big part has been understanding when to not talk. That has been the hardest thing ever for me. I remember there was a period where you were like, I'm just so grateful for you because you've given me so much space. I've learnt to give space because of it. And I was like, do you know how fucking hard this has been for me? I've known it was the right thing to do, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to do that with you.
Yeah.
But it's been really special because I think, and you know what? Stepping into this, I also, and I just thought about it right now, we all probably have this opportunity every single day with everybody in our lives.
Yeah.
Every single day with every single person. It's just, like you said, it's taught to suppress. I think everybody is. We all feel unheard. Mm-hmm. And I also think it gets back, I actually think it comes back to that control piece about everybody thinking they've got some sort of control over their life. So when somebody says something, they take it for absolute gospel.
Yeah.
They're like, and then we get so afraid of speaking our truth because it's like, it might be different tomorrow. It might be different in an hour. And we don't give each other, I'm not talking about you and I, but we as a society don't give each other enough space for us to change our mind. We're so obsessed with not being hypocrites. It's like, everybody's a fucking hypocrite. The only way you can not be a hypocrite is to be yourself, because then the only consistent thing you're going to do is be yourself, who changes their mind and learns different things on different days and goes, well, actually, fuck, maybe that thing I said last week was actually, I didn't have the right information.
And it's admitting that, okay, maybe I was wrong last week. That's okay. Yeah. That's all good, because life happens in between saying one thing one day and then saying something a week later.
Yeah.
A lot can happen in a week. Like, I look back on all of this and I go, fuck, a lot has happened. The people we were when we started this,
I don't even know that. I'd love to sit down with that Stefan and do a podcast.
Right?
Fuck. If you locked me in a room by myself, we probably could.
But
sorry, I'm not sorry, but
but you're absolutely right. Like, you know, I think, again, for me, that piece is learning how to surrender to it all. To this, to you, to all of it. Like, just being like, fuck, it is what it is. It literally is going to be whatever it's supposed to be. As long as I stay true to who I am and what I want, whatever comes my way, I'll deal with it when it comes.
Yeah.
Because I used to be like somebody who, again, like the biggest control freak. Like, I had to have the 5-year plan. I had to have it in stone.
Remember when we started this? How much you needed, like how hard it was to give me something?
What do you mean?
Remember when you're like, I'm going to let you edit the podcast?
Oh, yeah. I know. I was literally just like, I don't want him to fuck this up.
Do you know what, though? It was so hard for me. I didn't realize. It was only like a month ago. Probably not even. Remember when I was talking about surrendering to all that stuff that you were doing for Be More You? I was like, fuck, I've got to actually fully surrender to Mon. Mm-hmm. She's going to be going to do that. I didn't realize how hard it was for me. I was like, fuck, that first float, it was 3 weeks ago. I was in there, I was like, I don't know what to do. And I remember laying in the float and the word surrender kept coming because we'd just done the podcast with Gemma.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a wild ride. So we haven't even started.
I know. I feel like we have gone through 6 years of like stuff, but it's also been, like you said, a really beautiful process because, like, and I've said this to you before, like, there's no one else I would have done this with than you.
Nah, neither.
Like, literally. No. The thing I said to you last night, like, I wouldn't have given up my YouTube channel for anyone.
Nah, I wouldn't be doing this with anybody else. There's no way.
Yeah. That was a high five. Just see, this happens a lot now too. Oh my god, we literally say the same things.
I actually think that's a beautiful thing to end this podcast on.
I think so too. I appreciate you.
I appreciate that a lot of you.
I'm really excited for 2022 and everything we're going to do, and I hope you guys are too, because it hasn't even started.
So, a year to live. If you had a year to live, what would you do? Just think about that.
Yeah, write it down on a piece of paper and then store it somewhere. And then in a year, open it and see if you did the thing you said you were going to do. And hey, you might already be doing it. And if you are doing it, keep doing it.
And tell us about it.
Yeah.
Actually.
Reach out to us.
Reach out. Tell us about what you would do if you had a year to live. And then watch what we're going to do.
Because it's going to be fucking good.
So I'm going to start recording in 48 hours. I know I already told you, but I'm just really fucking excited about it. So I'm going to say it one more time. Thank you for watching and listening, guys.
Oh, and he's outroing!
Thank you for watching and listening. Oh my God, I was just going to end this like a yoga class. I was about to say, if you have any questions, I'll just be down at reception. If you're listening, Mon's headbutting the microphone. No, but seriously, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening for this season.
Yeah.
Thank you for all of the support. Thank you for listening to me try and stumble my way through this and to...
You're doing well. We do. We appreciate the support because, like, it wouldn't be anything without you guys. So
No.
if you are someone who listens and watches week in, week out, like, we just love and appreciate the support so much, and we hope that continues in 2022 because it's going to be pretty epic. So yeah, let's wrap it up. We'll see. Oh, actually, I should say, so this is the final episode of season 1. We are breaking up each season into 10 episodes because, well, we just want to make sure that the guests we get on are like people we love and we trust who have really amazing things to say. Also, with everything that we're going to be doing next year, like, you don't want to burn ourselves out, but we just want to produce really good content for you guys. And we never want to half-ass anything we do. So yeah, it'll be 10 episodes a season. The next season is going to start in 2 weeks' time, so right before 2020 kicks off.
Ooh.
And one more thing I should mention is the podcast is actually going to be moving to a Tuesday. So now they're going live on a Monday, but the next season it's going to kick off on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays, 8 a.m. Mon and Stefan in your ears or on the TV. Or computer, or phone, or wherever you watch these videos. And I want to stop talking. Anything else you want to say?
Thank you. Thank you for watching and listening.
And that's all she wrote.
And we'll see you just before the new year. Unless I see you in person, then I'll see you in person. And then goodbye.
Bye! Bye!